the weekend, when we were talking about the situation with Glenn Kuiper, we talked about the power of forgiveness. Forgiveness is not taught by deacons and Sunday school teachers at Woke United Methodist. Glenn Kuiper made a mistake. He apologized. For most of us normal people, all is forgiven. For members of Woke United Methodist, the indefinite suspension of Glenn Kuiper, that is not punishment enough. They want him thrown off the air permanently. In order to be forgiven, you first have to ask for forgiveness. How can I forgive you if you don't acknowledge your mistake? How can we move past your transgression if you don't think you've done anything wrong? We are now 6 weeks into this nationwide boycott of Bud Light. 6 weeks! Normally, these things don't last 6 days. This has been one of the leading stories in the mainstream media since the beginning of April. Just think about everything that has happened in that time span that could have pulled attention away from Bud Light. Jackie Mahomes achieved his boyhood dream. He was finally granted access into heaven. He spent one passionate night sharing a cell with Gary Garrison. We had the Glenn Kuiper situation this past weekend, the firing of Tucker Carlson and Donnie Lemon, mass exodus of viewers from Fox News. There's been plenty of drama in the NBA playoffs, everything going on with the southern border. There was another tragedy in Texas this weekend, the layoffs at ESPN. You get the point. There have been plenty of distractions. There have been plenty of stories that should have taken our attention away from Bud Light. But here we are, 6 weeks later, and this boycott is showing no signs of slowing down. This past weekend, the Red Sox had a 3-game homestand at the legendary Fenway Park. Boston, beautiful city. People living in Boston are passionate about their sports teams. They're also passionate about their beer. When it comes to politics, Boston is a stronghold for the Democratic Party. Democratic Party, heavily aligned with the woke movement. Number one cause right now in the woke movement, normalizing the transgender lifestyle. With that being the case, you would think citizens of Boston would show their love, show their support of Bud Light. I support any brand that promotes beautiful woke women like Dylan Mulvaney and Leah Thomas, and the most beautiful woke woman of them all. The woman who stars in the classic film, Two Birthing Persons, One Cucumber. The woke woman, woke men hope will impregnate them. The one, the only, Rachel Levine. Isn't she a beauty? Anyway, beer stands at Fenway Park. They were packed this weekend. The beer business was booming in Boston, except for one brand. Now, I had to mute the sound for copyright reasons, but check out the Bud Light stand this past weekend at Fenway Park. I have seen more women in Gay Gayerson's bedroom than people in line trying to buy Bud Light. Now, before I explain why this boycott's not going anywhere in the latest blunder by Bud Light, who continues to do everything wrong, let's get into the sponsor for today's video, Tactical Pro Supply. I often hear complaints, and it doesn't happen as much as it used to, but I often hear complaints about the brands of clothes that I wear. Why are you wearing Nike? Nike is woke. What's with the Under Armour? Under Armour is woke. To be honest with you, it's kind of hard to find a major clothing company that doesn't tie the portion of their profits to Woke United Methodist. It can also be difficult to find a clothing company that's not ashamed to publicly support our military. Until now. My friends over at Tactical Pro Supply offer high-quality, non-woke clothing, all at a fair price. They are proud to be American-owned and operated, and they donate a portion of every sale to help military veterans who are suffering through PTSD. Check out some of what they have to offer. This is one of the favorites of one of our most beloved former NFL players. Here's another one that definitely pertains to this channel, explaining how our rights don't end where someone's feelings begin. Tactical Pro Supply. They offer free shipping on all domestic orders over $70. Go place your first order today. Head on over to www.tacticalprosupply.com or click the link in the description below. All right, one of the reasons this Bud Light boycott has not subsided, Bud Light keeps fucking everything up. Their response to this has been absolutely horrendous. Not one time has Bud Light come out publicly and apologized to their customers. Now, I don't think an apology would have appeased everyone, but it would have at least mitigated some of the damage. Maybe sales only dropped 10% instead of nearly 30%. It didn't have to be anything fancy. This should have been so simple. We made a horrible mistake here. Our attempt to target the transgender market was an oversight by our marketing department. We understand the anger from our customers and promise this will never, ever happen again. That's it. That's it. Now, would there still be outrage? Of course. Would there still be people refusing to support Bud Light? Yes. Would there have been a nationwide boycott that lasted almost 2 months? Doubtful. Instead, Bud Light has done the complete opposite. They devised a strategy using a tactic that is heavily used by children. Bud Light decided to play a nice, relaxing round of the blame game. This was not our fault. Our marketing department went rogue. We have handled this internally by suspending the feminist in marketing who thinks men can have babies. You expect me to believe this promotion with Dylan Mulvaney was not approved at the highest levels of management? You expect me to believe executives at Bud Light found out about this Dylan Mulvaney promotion at the same time that we did? This is what happens when you market your business to the shit fucks instead of marketing to normal people. After blaming their own marketing department didn't work, Bud Light produced a new patriotic marketing campaign. Hey, remember us? We're responsible for producing legendary patriotic commercials. We love America. Well, America no longer loves you. After that didn't work, Bud Light, they blamed social media misinformation. The reason this boycott has lasted so long is due to social media propaganda. Bud Light was never partnered with Dylan Mulvaney. Matter of fact, who is Dylan Mulvaney? I see. So now you want to blame consumers. You want to blame your customer base for your own mistakes. Seriously, you expect me to believe that? You expect me to believe the reason this boycott has lasted so long is because customers are simply creating slanderous propaganda? Someone please explain to me how Bud Light was never partnered with Dylan Mulvaney. The face of Dylan Mulvaney was on their fucking beer can. I don't know how much they paid Dylan Mulvaney. If I had to guess, it was well into the 6 figures. If that is not a partnership, tell me what is. After that blatant lie didn't work, Bud Light decided to enter round 4 of the blame game. This time, they are blaming an unnamed third-party marketing firm for producing the Dylan Mulvaney commercial. Let me get this straight. First, it was your own marketing department that was responsible for this bullshit. Now you're telling me you contracted a third-party firm and you expect me to believe it? Let's assume for a second Bud Light's telling the truth here. They hired a marketing firm to run this campaign. You mean to tell me this marketing company accepted your money, produced this commercial with Dylan Mulvaney, then they went public with the campaign without your consent, without your knowledge? I know former consumers of Bud Light are perceived to be rednecks. When most people think of rednecks, they think of stupidity. But come on! Even the dumbest redneck is not dumb enough to believe that bullshit. Yesterday, Bud Light released a statement saying, "We have fired the marketing firm responsible for producing this Dylan Mulvaney commercial." Now, what marketing firm did they fire? Hell if I know, because Bud Light refuses to name them. Bud Light's response to this Dylan Mulvaney controversy and the boycott that came from it, this scenario, it should be taught in every marketing class in every college across the country. Everything Bud Light has done in response to this has been the wrong thing to do. We are 6 weeks into this boycott, and they have just now decided to distance themselves publicly from Dylan Mulvaney? It's too late. The damage has already been done. You tied your brand to Dylan Mulvaney, and people are refusing to forget. Bud Light put themselves in the ultimate lose-lose scenario. They pissed off their legacy customers, for lack of a better word, by associating with Dylan Mulvaney. Once they tried to distance themselves from Dylan Mulvaney, they pissed off the transgender community they were originally targeting with this marketing campaign to begin with. LGBT bar owners across the country, they have now joined this boycott against Bud Light. How dare you distance yourselves from our Lord and risen Savior? Businesses, major brands, they should never insert themselves into political issues. But here's the biggest problem when you back the transgender movement as a business. There are not enough transgender people in America to financially support you. Transgender people make up less than 1% of the American population. Now, I'm not talking about the identifiers. I'm talking about the people who actually transition. You cannot support a multi-billion-dollar business with less than 1% of the population. It's not possible. I don't think Bud Light can recover from this, and it's not Dylan Mulvaney's fault. Partnering with Dylan Mulvaney was an egregious mistake, no doubt about it. But you could have eventually recovered from that. Eventually, the outrage would subside if you handle the outrage correctly. The reason normal people are still pissed off at Bud Light refuses to take accountability. They refuse to admit their mistake. They refuse to ask forgiveness. Now, they probably will eventually, but by then, it's already too late. It's already too late now. People feel Bud Light does not align with their values. Once you betray people on that level, incredibly difficult to recover from it. Bud Light, they can publicly distance themselves from Dylan Mulvaney all they want. The damage has already been done. This marketing campaign, when you look at it, it was effective for all the wrong reasons. One way to measure the effectiveness of commercials, do people remember them? Over 20 years ago, Bud Light produced those "What's Up" commercials with all those frogs. That was an effective marketing campaign. I still remember it 20 years later. This promotion with Dylan Mulvaney will also be remembered. It will be remembered as the commercial that destroyed America's most popular beer brand. But give me your thoughts. Bud Light publicly distances themselves from Dylan Mulvaney. Is it too little too late? Do you think Bud Light eventually recovers from this? I don't, but you let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys later.